Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody?
Awesome.
Good. I hope y'all had a good weekend. We sure did here on the farm. This morning we are joined by one of my favorite people in the networking industry, I should say, who has their own networking platform, and that is Carl Lucchi. Carl, why don't you give us a little bit of background on you? Tell us a little bit about what brought you to um, the spot in business where you no longer work for money.
Okay. Well, I've been around quite a while, and to be honest with you, because I've been very fortunate to have great mentors. I worked when I was 16 years old in a grocery store called Publix Markets, and I knew the founder. I got to meet and knew the founder. He made a big impression on my life about how to help people, and so I retired from Publix when I was 30. That was in 1980. And then I went into the investment business for a while, sold some insurance for a while. I did a lot of different things, had a lot of great mentors there. And then after a while, I answered an ad for somebody with an idea person. I went to work for this person, and he used to be the former owner of the Auto Trader publication. If anybody knows what that was, it was a buy sell magazines. And he'd made a tremendous amount of money. And so he went in television production business and he was looking for a business developer. So I worked right alongside him and he mentored me. But probably the greatest mentor I had was my dad. He was an amazing salesperson. And he's actually the one that came up with the title of what I'm going to talk about today. And that was Stop Selling and Start Making Money. And I won't say I'm the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I've worked with some pretty sharp knives over the years and picked up a lot of, what I think are pretty good tips and things like that for selling. And then when I started networking in 2010, I had face-to-face groups in the Tampa Bay area. I sat down with a lot of people that really didn't understand sales, I didn't think. So I would talk with them and try to help them, and it just kept going from there. And so I've been, training, sales and marketing ever since. And as Colleen says, I don't have this is not a job for me. It's kind of a passion. I'm kind of trying to pay it back and pay it forward and, help a lot of people. Not everybody can afford a business coach, and I'm not a coach. I do consulting only, but I just try to help as many people as I can. So that's a short story long.
I love that, and that's we have quite a few little similarities. My first job was also at the Publix.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was at the corner of Marvilla Circle and 41 in Fort Myers there.
Mm.
I was probably, I would say 14, maybe 15, right? Bagging groceries, but I got to move up to cashier, don't worry. And my dad also was a great mentor to me. He was a salesman for Sprint, who then became AT&T. He actually sold the 911 system to the state of Florida. So
Wow.
that dates me a little bit. But I love everything about sales, but I feel like I've missed all the training on sales. Like, where they have all these step-by-step processes you're supposed to do and do this and do this. And well, then they can dissect it and say, well, you didn't make the sale because of this or because of that. I've never been able to understand that or even deep dive into it. I've always thought that you build relationships. And when people know, love, and trust you, then they also know what your product is or what you do. And there should be a comfort level in that relationship where they can talk to you about that. And if they're interested, they are. That's not to say that we keep it secret because I'm not of that school either. I actually sat at a table recently where somebody said to me that they had never had any business from that networking group that I was sitting in. And I said, well, I've got 4 or 5 clients in here, and I am a client of 5 or 6 people in here. And they said, oh, well, you've never bought anything from me. And I said, I literally have seen you in here 10 times. I have no idea what you sell. And so there's that factor, right? So I'm not afraid to put it out there what I do, but I just have always had a little bit different approach. But I am ready for you to dive in and talk about our business. Tell us how to stop selling and start making money.
Okay. Well, it's really a pretty simple concept. I mean, there's a lot to it. Like I said, it was a 2.5 hour workshop that I did. And, I can't cover all that in a half hour, but I'm gonna try to, hit some highlight points and things like that. And I'm welcome, anybody can reach out to me and I'll be happy to work with them on their particular business because every business is different and everybody's personality is different. And so, I'm going to hit it in a kind of a broad sense, but it's all pretty much the same. And the first thing is the act of selling. Okay, a lot of people think selling is a bad word. I don't think it's a bad word. I think should be an enjoyable experience for everybody if you do it properly. It doesn't have to be onerous or I hate to do this again because I hate rejection or whatever. But the definition, I'm going to read it because I had to go back and look at what I'd had. The definition that I found a while back was the activity of qualifying potential buyers that meet specific criteria and persuading them to buy. Well, personally, I think that sucks. I don't think you should have to persuade anybody to buy. Okay, to me, that's like force feeding a sale. My definition is the art of finding people who have a want or need and filling that want or need. I mean, basically, either they want it or they need it. Those are the two main reasons that people buy. And if you don't understand first why people buy, there's no way you're going to be able to sell. And so there's like 16 different subcategories. Like I said, you can't do that with everybody. And I mean, I can't go over all those different categories today. But basically it's just they either need it or they want it. If it's insurance, they don't want it, they need it. Okay. If it's financial planning, they may not want to do that, but they need it. If they want it, it's like, okay, why did you buy the Lexus? Well, because I wanted a Lexus. Okay, when you could have gotten something. So it was something they wanted. And it's generally a little bit ego involved there. But so there's two different type of buying personalities that you're looking at. And then sales is nothing more than psychology. People like people who are like them. And if you can mirror yourself to be more like them, you have a better chance of building that know, like, and trust in a short term. When I went to work for the fellow who had formerly owned the Auto Trader, I formed a business for him called Zip Video, and I sold it all over the U.S. and Canada. Well, there are different people in different parts of the country, and we all know this, that have different personality traits. If I was talking to somebody in Mississippi or Dallas or someplace, it's, how are the kids? Let's, you get real personal and you got to get real warm and all that. If I'm talking to somebody in New York, and I can say this because my wife was from New York, what do you got, Carl? Just tell me what it is. I got to get out of here. Okay. I mean, it's usually a lot of times they'll have a short, abrupt attitude. Not everybody, but a lot of times. But there's, I found a graph on this, and all around the country, different people have different buying personalities. And so you try to mirror that as best as possible. That's something you're not going to just instantly do. You have to work that out as you're talking with those people. But if you listen to how they talk and then you talk back the same way, then you have a better chance of building that relationship because people like to work with people who are like them, not total opposites. And that's nothing more than sales psychology. So when people are buying, when you're selling something, you need to prepare for the sale. I don't know how many times I've talked to people who don't do their research or don't prepare for the sale. Especially now that we have the internet. Before the internet, it was more difficult. But with the internet, you can find out just about anything you want about anybody on the internet. You can find out whether they own a business, whether they're just, is this somebody that's a housewife or whatever it is they do. You can find out. And if you don't find anything on them, that's good information too. Why aren't they on the internet? Okay. I mean, you want to go in prepared knowing who you're going to be talking to. It saves a lot of time and effort because you already know a little bit about the personality of the person. Probably you're going to learn a little bit about their business. You might even be able to find out what their net worth is. And so you go in prepared. And I know so many people that say, well, I'll talk to anybody. I'll sell what I have to anybody. Why would you do that? That's a way. I mean, is your time valuable? My time's valuable. I mean, why would you sell to homeless people? Okay. I mean, why sell to people who don't have money? You know? I mean, if you want to sell to homeless people, go down to the homeless shelter, do a presentation. Good luck with that. Okay. Because they can't afford to buy what you have. And nothing against people who don't have a job or don't have, or don't have anything, but you're in business to make money and you don't need to be apologetic for that. So you want to target people who are going to be, potential buyers of what you've got. And if you know as much as possible about them, you're going to have a better, easier way to mirror their personality, to know more about them and know whether they can afford what you have. So that's part of it. The other thing, I made notes here because if I don't stay on track, I'm going to be here an hour. We don't have an hour. So, so some strategies. Okay. After you know the personality, that's a strategy. Okay. Um, but a lot of times people go into the sales situation and they have a flip chart and they sit there and they start going through their flip chart of, let me tell you all about me. Let me tell you all about what I have. Let me tell you all about all the features and benefits. You don't need to do that. Okay. If they want to know something, they'll ask you. Okay. My dad told me something that I have told many, many people. I used to use this in the workshop. I said, if you don't learn anything else from me today, get a post-it note, but don't get a white one. Get an ugly one. Get one that's yellow, green, purple, whatever you can do. And write on there, selling isn't telling, it's asking. Take that post-it note and put it on your bathroom mirror. And everybody would laugh at me. And they said, why do I need it on my bathroom mirror? I know what it says. Well, you don't have to read it. But the first place I go in the morning before I start my work is to the bathroom. Okay. But if you put it on the mirror, you're going to see it out of the corner of your eye. You're not going to read it. It's just going to talk to you. And it's going to say, selling isn't telling, it's asking. And there's too many people that want to tell people how great they are, how great their product is, why they need to have that product. Trust me, they will ask you once you find out what their needs are. So you just continually ask questions. And when they give you an answer, ask them another question. And eventually what you've done is you've created a buying environment. You've created a situation to where if they ask you enough questions and you give them enough answers, then all of a sudden they say, well, can I have it? Now, what my dad used to do is say, well, I'm not so sure. I want to make sure it's right for you. He wouldn't just go for the throat and get the check because he didn't want buyer's remorse. He didn't want somebody buying it today and then 2 days later say, you know what, I changed my mind because because they didn't have all the information they needed. So you continually ask questions until you feel certain that they have everything they need with what you have. And then you have what's called a solid sale. Okay. And then, but you can also tell them, look, if you have any questions while we're getting the process going, like insurance, you have to do paperwork and things like that. Reach out to me. Let's make sure this is right for you, because you want this to be a partnership. You want it to be something that you are in it with them. It should be a win-win situation for both of you. Okay, but the other thing is people. I bet everybody in this room and anybody watching this has heard this before. Well, it sounds good, Carl. I need to talk it over with my wife, or I need to talk it over with my partners. Can I get back to you? You know, um, I just need to think about it. Everybody's heard that. Okay. So the problem with salespeople is a lot of times they have a fear of not taking control over the sale. And it's either they're going to control it or you're going to control it. One of you is going to control this. And you want to have the control on the sale. And I don't mean being nasty, but there's nothing wrong if you're at that point. Now you've met with them once, maybe twice, and they know why you're there. You want them to make a decision today. You want them to put the ink to the check, right? So there's nothing wrong before you get into that meeting, because your time is valuable. My time is valuable. to say, look, let's kind of set the ground rules here, okay? I mean, you don't have to tell them that, but you say, look, you know why we're here today. I've answered most all your questions, but I want to make sure that I've answered everything today. I want to know, are you ready to do something today if I can answer all your questions, or is this something you need to think about? Do you have to talk it over with somebody? I mean, just get that out of the way up front, okay? Or can I get back to you? Okay. You know what those are? All that is they want to let you down easy. I can't afford it. It's always about the money, because if you were doing it and it was free, they'd sign up, right? I mean, 99% of the time, because it was free. They just can't afford it, or they don't think they can afford it, or they can't find the money. So if you set it up in the beginning and say, yeah, well, I hope I've given you all the information you need, but I'm here to answer any final questions you have. Are you ready to get started today? Is it something you're going to have to think about? Or do I have, you're going to have to get back to me, whatever? Well, I don't know. I might have to. Well, if you think that's the case, why don't we go ahead and explore that? If you need to talk it over with somebody, why don't we get them in on this so you can make a decision? Because I don't want to waste your time. And I have 3 more people I need to talk to today. And I'd really, like to get this taken care of. Now, it's okay. There's 3 things that can happen. If you say, yes, that's great for you, great for me, great for everybody, everybody's happy, you go on. No is totally fine. If it's not for you, just say, Carl, this just isn't for me. And we'll find out why that is. Okay. But I got to think about it as unacceptable. Why do you have to, if there's no reason for it, if you can't afford it, let's discuss it. I'm fine with that, but let's go ahead and get this going. Can we agree to make a decision today? Yes or no? And get them to commit to it. Now you've already sold part of it right there, because you've got a commitment, right? So once you have that, then you go through any other answers, ask them more questions. Did you understand everything I told you before? Did you receive the information? However your sales process is. Did you get everything? Did you research it? Okay. Um, you know, and then when it gets to the end, say, well, you said that you'd be able to make a decision. Do you think this is something for you? And if they say yes, great. If they say no, that could be a positive. Okay, that's like an objection. Okay, so why isn't it for you? Is it too expensive? What is it? Ask them those questions. Well, if it's too expensive, let me ask you this. What are you going to do if you don't do this? May I ask you that? I know you want this. We've met twice or whatever. We know you want it or need it, whatever the situation is. What are you going to do? Can I ask you that? Because nothing is not going to do you any good, right? So I'm just curious, what is it you're going to do? Or what is it I didn't answer properly? I'm not perfect and I'm learning and this is my livelihood. So, tell me what I might not have explained well enough to allow you to make a decision to do this going forward. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's a positive. Number one, you're being honest. Maybe you messed up. Maybe you said something wrong. I mean, I can't even go into this today, but there are words you don't want to use that can ruin a sale, like hard words like cost. This is going to cost you. You never want to say cost. Okay, pick another word. But there's like 16 words you don't want to use and phrases. Stay away from acronyms, because anytime you use an acronym in something and they don't know what that stands for, even though you think they should know, like IBM. Right? And everybody knows what IBM is, right? I've been moved, right? No, you thought it was International Business Machines. So anytime somebody doesn't know an acronym, they tend to feel less than. And anytime they feel less than, they're less likely to want you to know that they don't know that. They're afraid to ask you what that meant. So try to stay away from that. Spell out the words. But anyway, there's a bunch of those that, that I don't have time to talk about today. But so if they tell you no, then you find out why it was a no. That's going to help you. You're not going to sell everybody, and it may not just be right for them, but you need to find out why. And then you might learn something from them to help you in your next sale. So it's going to help them. And you can just tell, hey, look, I really appreciate that. I didn't realize that I came across this way, or I didn't give you the information properly, or, maybe when it is right for you, we can get back together. Or they might say, well, I just think I need more information. Okay. What information would you like to have? Ask questions. Don't give answers, ask questions. Okay. And the role playing I did in this one workshop, the lady was selling, she had a bakery, and she said that she had a hard time selling her product because hers were so unique, and they cost her more to make, and so she had to sell them for more. But everybody said, "Oh no, they're just like everybody else's." Well, what did you say? And she said, "Well, I told them why they were different." I said, "No, you ask them how are mine the same as everybody else's, and you can get it cheaper at Walmart down the road." Okay. You want to be distinct in your business, or you might become extinct in your business. You want to be different. If your price is higher, you need to have a reason why your price is higher. Okay. You have to validate that. No, not, it's just higher. That's not going to do you any good. But if you're very distinct at what you do, and I used to use an example of realtors because you can throw a rock and hit a realtor in any direction, right? But if you're in a networking group and you've got 5 realtors standing up in there, the first one says, "I'm a realtor. I help people buy and sell houses." Second one says, "I help people buy and sell houses." Third one says, "I help people buy." The fourth one, the last one says, "I'm a property acquisition specialist." What? What's a property acquisition specialist? It's a person that helps people buy and sell houses, but it made them a little bit different. Guess where all the eyes went to? They went to the person who's a property acquisition specialist. Same thing. So you don't have to do big things to make yourself different, but you have to be different enough. You have to be different enough to make people want to talk to you in your sales. So try to find something that makes you a little bit different. If it's insurance, how many people sell insurance, Valerie? A lot of people, you know, sell insurance, right? So the competition is stiff out there, especially with the internet now. And everybody is a researcher. I'm a researcher. I'm an analytical person. That my personality is analytical. So if you know everything about your business, guess what? You better know everything about everybody else's business. You better know what their products are and how they're different. Because I guarantee you, they're checking to see how, they're researching you to see how you are different, especially if you are successful at what you do. It's easy to do with the internet now. You can check on anybody. There's tools you can do. You can use AI. You can find out what other products are like. And if you run across analytical people, they're already, that's why they use Google. They're researching, So know everything you can about your product and service, and everybody else's product and service, because it's important. So did you know that what you know can hurt your sales? How can that be, Carl? How can, what I know? Well, the problem with that is I personally feel that I know quite a bit about my craft. Okay. And I've got stuff on the wall and I've got all this. Nobody gives a damn about what I know. They only care about what you can do for them. And sometimes what people do in a sales presentation is they say, "Oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You've got to have this. This is, you know what it can do? It can do this, it can do that, it can do the other." And they don't care. That's not what they need. They only need what they need. And if people would stick to selling people what they need instead of what you want them to have, and all the bells and whistles and the thing, you can go over those, but make sure you have a commitment after you've sold them what they want or need. And after what they have or want and need, then you can say, "Oh, guess what? It also does this, and it flips backwards and does tumbles, and it can do all these different things, and it's just a bonus on top of everything that I've just given you, But just give them what they need, because they don't want that other stuff. I always use I would ask somebody what kind of car they drive, and somebody might say, "I drive a Honda." And I said, "Well, what is the spark plug gap?" "What?" "Oh, when you bought the car, they didn't try to sell you on the spark plug gap of the car and the monofilament wiring and the how many, the pistons were made of a certain out. They didn't do that. No, it's because you didn't want that. You wanted to know, was it a 4-door, 2-door, air conditioned stick, manual? You just told them what you wanted, and that's what they sold you, right?" And a lot of times what I've done too is tell people, "Do you know who the best salespeople in the world are that have never had any sales training?" And nobody seems to know. It's the doctor. Because when you go to the doctor for your 15 minutes at $150, you go in and he says, Carl, what's the problem today? What are the symptoms? He asks you a bunch of questions, or she asks you a bunch of questions, and then they write you a prescription or give you something to take care of it. And they're selling you. I mean, that's not their goal, selling you, but they're selling you. And that is the ideal sales situation. So selling isn't telling, it's asking. And if you put that on your bathroom mirror, the next time you start vomiting all over somebody with all your knowledge and all the benefits and everything, that little sticker is going to say, oh, crap, I need to stop selling and start asking questions. So that is the simple mind trick. Okay. If you use that little post-it note, okay, one piece of paper, believe it or not, it can help you in your sales. Even if you think, well, I already do that. Okay. Give it a try. Just give it a try. So, Colleen, did you have a question or did you want to say something?
We did have a question in the chat. Let me go back to the
Oh,
chat.
sure.
And I love that selling. I don't want to say underselling them, but more specifically selling them exactly what they need. I love that, and I experienced that so much in GHL, right?
Yeah.
Um, so Mona says, is it possible to be too different?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you can go crazy, I guess, but no. I used to know, I don't even remember this man's name, but I remember him. When I did my face-to-face networking, we had a gentleman that sold insurance. And as we've already discussed, a lot of people sold insurance. Every time he showed up in a Hawaiian shirt. Everybody else had a coat and tie on or whatever. He wore a Hawaiian shirt. Guess where everybody's eyes went to? That's just a subtle little thing that made him different. If you want to call that crazy, call it crazy. But it worked for him, I'm telling you. So, I don't think you can be too different as long as you're not crazy. I mean, you don't want to say that guy's a nutcase or she's the nutcase, but no, I don't think you can be too different. You try different things, and you try different ways of presenting what you do. Put uh, you know, um, if you're, I mean, you all know Rob Holman. I mean, he says, insurance sucks, but it sucks less with me, right?
There you go.
So,
Well,
so I remember that.
so that's interesting. So years ago, just a little business background here. Years ago, when I was just a stay-at-home mom and actually didn't have a brick and mortar business, but I still had to do something right to be productive in society. I participated in property tax sales in Missouri and Arkansas. We were on the border, and it was a first come, first sale kind of thing. So the sales were held in the courtroom and at the courthouse in a courtroom, and everybody got a number that you could hold up. And there were all everybody's trying to do this, and everybody shows up. And I went once and watched and kind of saw how everybody looked coming in. And I was like, all righty then. And I went home and I got my church hat. You know, the church hat,
Hmm.
the big floppy red one with a big purple
Yep.
flower on. Got my flowered shirt on, got my little wand, bought 15 properties that day. Yes, sir. And I think there were like 25 for sale
Yeah, that's amazing.
because the eyes go first to that, right? I
Hmm.
looked so different than everybody else. I mean, I looked really nice, came dressed like I was ready for church, and everybody's like, who in the heck and what is she doing? And I didn't even care. I was the only one that I needed to go to for months, picked up a ton of properties, but it's really just distinguishing yourself in a memorable way that of course is still professional, right? And so I had a couple comments actually. So the selling isn't telling, it's asking. And so when we're asking and we're asking and asking and over, like you're saying, kind of deep diving, what that does too, I feel like those are the touch points that they talk about so much in social media selling. Like you have to have 14 touch points with someone before they buy from you, right? So let's keep asking questions till we're at the 14, right? Because it's the same thing as when you're sending out an email. Do you send out an email? Oh, hey, blah, 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 blah. I hope you have a great day. This is my little thing I wanted to tell you about, blah, blah, blah. And then you're out. Or do you send one that says, we were talking about this and I wanted to share this blog post with you, or I saw this article. Maybe you could click here and see that. And then if you're really interested, come over and join me in this group. Click here because every one of those is also a touch point. And so it's
Right.
building that relationship the same way, asking questions, putting touch points in your emails, all of these things build the relatability and go back to what we were saying at the beginning is that people really get to know you. You know, one of the things that sold me on you, Carl, was actually getting on a one-on-one with you and hearing your amazing story. And
This
that,
is another level. You've got to, it's your life. It's not a job. It's just your life, and it is blooming hard. Um,
anyways, that story really just kind of tied me to you. Um, and it's something that made you so memorable. I've known you for a while now, but I got on a call maybe a week ago with somebody else who does networking, and he was wanting connected to connectors. And I told him about you, shared your story. I told about Lynn, shared Lynn's story. And he said afterwards, he said, it's crazy to me. He says, you are the first person I've spoken to that actually shares the story. How do you know these people's story? And I said, because I love people and I want to build relationships. And so I do get to know people. And I think in building our business and making our sales, that that's really where it's at is to keep building those relationships. Um, Tell me, we've got some questions for you. Are you ready?
Sure.
Are you sure?
No.
Okay. Well, they're not difficult. They're just kind of put you on the spot a little bit questions.
Right.
Okay, so what's one thing in the sales industry that people are doing that you think is complete BS, and why do you think they're still doing it?
Okay. I think that people are still selling the conventional way that they've been taught in the past, so they're using flip charts to sell, and they're selling features and benefits instead of finding out what people need. And they're still doing it. Okay. And they're doing it because that's what they were taught. It's not their fault. Okay. It's just like people who network improperly. It's not their fault. It's just that they had never been taught the proper way to network. And people do the same things the same way and try to get, different results. And it's just not going to work. You got to retrain your brain to make it work.
I think that's so interesting, and I love working with a product that I can customize. So I had somebody, same kind of scenario, reach out to me and say, "Hey, my clients need this specific kind of a landing page, and they need just this with it and just this." And I said,
Yeah.
"Okay, let me run create that."
Well, see, that's one thing that makes you different in what you do. And you call it GHL, right?
Go high level is like
Well, yeah,
what
but
I
nobody
find.
knows that. I would call it go high level. Okay. But the one thing that makes you different is you customize it for the client, not selling this great big huge
Right.
monolith that they have to deal with, which is a lot of people that sell go high level do. So I think that's really a strong point for you, and which makes you different. Okay, that's a subtle thing, but it's different.
It
You
is
know,
different. And you're right, just like you said earlier, after they're in, when they're like, oh, well, I also needed a newsletter, I can say, oh, yeah, well, we do have
well,
that
we
too.
got that too.
We do have the AI agent. We do have the phone. And so all of those things. All right. Question number two. What's a mistake that you made that cost you serious money or time that you kept making anyways because you were too proud or too scared to admit that it wasn't working?
I made the same mistakes everybody else has made. I kept doing it the same way. I wasn't willing to change. Change is good. You got to keep trying stuff. I just kept doing the same things the same way and said, I just must not be any good at this, or this product sucks, or whatever. It's really easy to make excuses. It's not really easy to change. Okay. You can blame everybody else for your mistakes, but they're your mistakes.
Right. And it's also not easy to create new habits that get you to the new goals you've set.
No, it's not easy. You have to work at this. And being in your own business and doing sales is the toughest thing you'll probably ever do in your life. It's much easier to go to a punch clock and punch in and punch out. You're done when you're done,
It
and you're
is.
just doing what they tell you to do, and you go home. But to be a successful entrepreneur, you got to study, you got to research, and then you got to do what? Research some more.
And it's actually you just
exploring it once again with fellow Northerners.
And you actually have to just keep doing that over and over and over. My children have said to me before, "Gosh, Mom, what are you taking now?" Because I'm always finding courses to take. And they can be, a lot of them are college courses, and it's just something that tickled my fancy. When when I was raising teenage boys, there was one college course I found on brain development. And I figured since theirs weren't developing, I should probably study it.
Yeah.
Took that and realized that, hey, what they really need is a lot of sleep and a lot of food. And
I got one other quick story I'd like to tell you that my dad
yeah,
taught
please
me.
do.
Nobody likes to be rejected, right? Nobody, I mean, if you like rejection, you got something wrong with you, okay? Nobody likes it, okay? So he sold graphic art supplies for a major company. It was like Kodak, but it wasn't Kodak. And he sold it to printers. And we had a place called Web City. And Web City was the first indoor mall, and it sold things at a discount and things like that, right? So um, he would go to a printer and let's say he was selling them ink or something, right? And so he'd go in and see, I got this ink and it's $5 for the ink. And they said, but Carl, Web City's got it for $3.50. He said, oh, yeah, I know. And he said, there's this other place that's got it for $3 if you want to go there. I said, well, why would you tell me that? So because I don't come with that. I come with this. And you can reach me 7 days a week. If you need to reach me, you've got my phone number. Who are you going to call if you have a problem with that product? But if you want to, I can tell you where you can get it for less. So that's how he would overcome the objection of price, because he made sure that he built that relationship to, and they say, geez, you're right. It's worth a couple bucks for me to, you know.
I love that. One of the selling points that I use in selling simplified CEO systems is that you can't get a 24/7 employee for $297 a month.
No, you can't.
I understand that I charge more than anybody else, but I
Mhm.
understand also that you can't get somebody 24/7 for $297 a month. And so that's a big selling feature inside my simplified CEO systems. All right, Carl, one last question. Then I want you to tell us a little bit about your networking too. So, number 3, if you could only give one piece of advice to someone in the sales industry, and it would piss off half your peers. So you go, don't forget that part. What would it be, and why is it worth the backlash?
It piss off who?
Everybody else in the sales industry that's trying to teach people.
Oh, to be different. I mean, just find something to make yourself different than other people that do what you do.
And
You
it
know,
doesn't always have to be a different solution. I think a lot of people look at an industry and they're like, oh, that's flooded. There's so many elbow doctors. Well,
mhm.
maybe, but are they all using plastic cast, or some of them using, I just don't think that they have to be completely different industry. I think you can take an industry and we can use Go High Level for an example. There are so many people selling Go High Level, but
Yeah.
the
Well,
difference is
if
put a
if
different
if
twist on it.
if people weren't, why do we have more than one gas station?
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
is there multiple gas stations? Because they all want to be a little bit different, either competitive with price or their services or whatever
Right.
it is, right? And they're different names and they promote it differently, you know. So just be different. I mean, and you're gonna have to try some different things that stand out. But once you find one, don't fix that if it's not broken. Keep working it until it's not working, and then do something different.
Mona says Monday morning business foreplay got her interest. It does, and it's the tagline that goes with that is so that the rest of your week hits just right. So it's just another little play on words there. Carl, tell us about. We've got 8 minutes because I do have a podcast at the top of the hour, but tell us about your networking. I will drop it. I'll drop the link in the chat because people do need to register.
Right.
And I will say that it's a fun and mighty place to be. So tell us about it,
Thank
Carl.
you. Well, I've been doing this since 2010. I've had face-to-face events and meetings and organizations, and this will be my last one, I think. I refuse to fail. And basically, we follow Zig Ziglar's philosophy of helping other people. It's not about selling. We don't allow sales. But we do have a unique event where when you come there, and you're brand new, regardless whether we have 6 or 16 or 26 or 36 people, you're going to have a great big one-to-one with everybody because we'll ask you some questions in a Q&A, kind of like what you did with me. And we'll have people talk and everybody can raise their hand and ask a question. We give everybody up to 15 minutes. And if they're brand new, and then the people coming back, they do a short intro. I hate elevator sales pitches because nobody goes to those events to buy and there's no reason for you to sell. So you introduce yourself. And then, we will provide, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll pick a business topic like what we talked about today. And one of my partners will do a presentation on that. And we record that, put it out on LinkedIn and different social media platforms. And then we will stop the recording and everybody can do a Q&A with one of the partners that I have. And it is a partnership, but all the events are free, 15:30s, we call them. And they're every Wednesday at 2:45 p.m. Eastern time.
All righty. Who else? Rob goes to that. Trying to
I'm sorry?
Nicole has been, I think. Rob has been.
I haven't been.
You
No.
haven't been yet, Nicole?
No, but
We banned her.
That's this Wednesday, right? Yep.
Yeah,
It is.
this
Oh,
Wednesday.
we had something come up last Wednesday, or last time I went, and I was looking for you, but I think you had tech problems. All right. And then also, just a shout out for Nicole and I. We are starting next Monday. There will be a little bit different layout to Monday morning business foreplay. At the top of the hour at 10 o'clock, we will stop the recording. And then at 10:01, we will, let me grab that for you, Stefan. I just put it in again.
I got it.
Okay. Anyways, Monday, we will stop the recording and we will start the caffeinated conversations, which will be shotgun style networking. That probably doesn't sound good. Like that sounds like a shot. That's not what it is. So what it will be is that you will have 3 minutes to tell us a little intro about yourself, who you've worked with recently, who you want to work with, and who your best referral partner is. And then we will go around the room and have everybody give you referrals of people that they know. And so we're going to start that, Nicole, next Monday, immediately following this. So we'll take a small commercial break, a bio break, if you will, grab your coffee, refill your coffee, and come in and do this. And it'll be fun. We always have a good time networking. And I, of course, encourage everybody to join us at Carl's this Wednesday at 1:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're Eastern Standard, then that would be 2:45.
Colleen, is the link on or Carl, is the link on your website?
The link, basically,
He'll email it to you.
we send it to you, or you can put it on your calendar as well. We have everybody answer a questionnaire because we like to know who's coming. We're open to just about everybody, but everybody's had horrific situations with Zoom bombing and things like that. So we like to know a little bit about what the person is, but most everybody gets to come. I've only turned down maybe 3 people in a year. So
He hasn't turned me down, so there's hope.
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
You're still allowed back in. All right.
He has not
really.
been banned as yet.
Not yet, and I don't expect I will be. I actually really enjoy my relationship with Carl, and I feel like, when I came online, he was one of the first, not one of the first, but one of the people I really truly connected with, and on so many different levels. And that's one of the things when you find people more our age. I'm looking at everybody in this room. We don't have to be told to be authentic, right? We can just be like, hey, this is who we are, and show up and really build relationships. And I can honestly say that I've really appreciated getting to know each of you. So thank you all for joining us. We will be back here next week. Quick reminder for Voice Lab. That will be tomorrow at 9 a.m. For Nicole and I, we're keeping all our podcasts same time. So Tuesday and Thursday, Voice Lab, 9 a.m. You can join us in the Voice Lab on School. Nicole, you want to drop that one last time? You probably just did. Join us for the Voice Lab podcast tomorrow, 9 a.m. And then Learning Lab this afternoon at 11:30. And Pain Point podcast Wednesday with Nicole at 9 a.m. And we'll see you guys on some of these other places.
Thank you very much.